All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the House Salt Book Club 2023 Wrapped. It's a little late because of scheduling things. Shout out to my book club members who let me delay it because I had a partner in the hospital, so we couldn't do it last time. But now we're doing it, and it's already 2024, and we have plans. So we'll just get into just the overview again. We're not talking about any specific book. We're going to be talking about all the books we read last year. So first, we're going to go around and do introductions. I almost said introductions. And how we think the reading went this year. I'm not going to answer because I know, because I did all the stats for it. So, hi, I'm Sam from Thoughts on Tobes.
Hi, everyone. I'm Paige from Natalie. I was just looking at the list of books that we read, and I will say I think it went worse, but I was more entertained this year.
I'm Jordan from the Jordan Journals, and I think it went better than previous years. Like overall as a group, I think it went better.
I'm Connor from just Connor O'Brien, and I think we did slightly better. I think we did like a quarter of a star or a half a star better than we did last year.
Hello, my name is Moniquill from the channel. My name is Moniquill. And looking at the list, I feel like probably we have less low lows than we have in other years, like less of like, big failures. I didn't know that we had like any like huge superstars either, or that many. But so I'm going to say that averages out to also like Connor, like slightly better than we have done in some other years.
Cool. So let's go through all the books, talk a little bit about them. I will let you guys know what the average rating is of all of them once we finish talking about it, and just see how they're sitting in our feelings now, especially those like the first books of the year kind of thing. So the first book that we started with was Nevermore. Also, if you guys haven't been watching us all year, which I'm sure you have if you're at this, but this year we switched things up in an attempt to have more fun, and we'll see how that ended up actually going, where every quarter we pick books and we pick names, and someone gets to pick the book for the coming months instead of us all kind of like collaborating on it. So we were thinking that would be fun. We'll see how that worked out. But Connor, or was it Jordan picked Nevermore?
Jordan. I think Jordan.
Jordan, yeah.
Jordan picked Nevermore. Okay, so Nevermore was our first book of the year. Now, a year later, how do we all feel about Nevermore?
I still remember it fondly. Like, I was like, oh yeah, Nevermore. Oh my God. I need to continue that series. That series did bring joy. So I think I will be, that was a good reminder for me to pick up the next one.
I continued, so I still really like it.
Nice.
It's like my thing too, though. Is like I remember being like, I really enjoyed this, so I need to continue, and of course I didn't, which is more on me than Nevermore because I never continue series. But like as soon as I was looking back at the list, I was like, oh, Nevermore. So it does sit fondly in my feelings. I feel like we had a good time. It was a good opening to the year, and generally just appreciated the book.
Yeah, I checked it out from the library a couple of times. I haven't like I never like got to it, but I checked it out a few times. So I definitely want to continue reading it. It was just like fun and happy and heartwarming.
Yeah. It's definitely like a series that like I have such a hard time with middle grade and continuing those series because they're just so like they're just fun and they sort of wash over you for me. Like that's from my experience. So I have it in my library like tags, but I always see it and I'm like, oh, and then I just scroll past it. But yeah, like I remember us being like, this is gonna be such a successful year. Like, look, we started with like such a good book. So the average rating of Nevermore for us was a 4.08. Sorry.
That's pretty high.
Like a 4 star.
That feels right. Yeah. That feels right.
It's still, like 2 stars is still like where it hits for me.
Yeah, all of us, almost all of us gave it a 4 or like in the 4 range. Connor gave it a 5, Paige gave it a 3.5, the rest of us were 4. So like solid book for us. Yeah, love it. Okay. The next book was Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I know Mari will have thoughts. But how is that sitting with us now? For me, this has been a book that like sort of not exemplified, but like there was something about this that was kind of like, yeah, this is sort of how my reading year went. Like there was a lot of books that were just kind of like, okay, like this sort of, maybe it's because of the Hugo nominations and the fact that that was one of the Hugo nominees. I just was like, there's a lot of like just mid stuff here, but that like I still find enjoyable. Like I still think of Legends and Lattes and think fondly, but I was not in any rush to read like Bookshops and Bone Dust, which is the second one that came out last year. But yeah, it doesn't sit poorly in my feelings.
I think that's like the perfect way to describe it, because I'm the same way, whereas like I was seeing it all over the bookshops here, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna wait till it's out in paperback and then maybe I'll pick it up. I don't need it right now when it's hardcover.
During the live show, I had not finished it, and I finally went back and finished it, and it was just like, all right, it could like, it was all right.
Yeah.
I think I gave it like 3 stars at the end of the day, or maybe it was 2.5 or something like that.
I enjoyed it. I can see myself reading the sequel at some point.
I'm happy for all of you. This continues to sour my feelings. I resent it even more after it got nominated for a Hugo and Travis Baldree won a Hugo. Like, I resent this book of nothing with its colonialist vibes so hard. And genuinely, it's one of those books that, like, hearing people talk about it and fans defend it, like, makes me hate it more, because they're like, yeah, well, it is nothing, and oh, I guess I see like the colonialist vibes, but I had so
like
much
it
fun.
was a fun book, and it should, and I don't think it should have won an award necessarily, though. Like that seems unnecessary for it.
Yeah.
Wait, it won?
It got
He
nominated
won.
for best novel.
He won.
And
Okay.
won, like best author,
best new author or something.
Oh, because
I feel
of
like that was
book,
sort of I feel like that was sort of a nod to like I don't agree with that, but I think it was a nod to like cozy fantasy like made a boom this year and whatever. But it's also like, but does he get? I mean, people do say like Legends and Lattes was like what kickstarted that, and so I guess they were giving him a nod for that. But I was like, yeah, craft wise, this is not anything. This is
worthy of a
nothing.
Hugo.
But do I sometimes love? Again, I said this in the live show for it. I'm pretty sure, but I was like, yeah, it's like a little coffee shop sim in my brain. I was like, doot, 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 doot. Yeah, like I felt the same level of like sort of coziness, but there's better, cozier things like TK.
But this has like a really voracious fan base, I'm gonna guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they're like voracious to the point of like, I don't know, like a Sarah J. Maas fan or whatnot, but like people really love this. Like there is like just a general, I don't know, love for the book itself. And so every time I talk about not liking it, there's just like a lot of like, oh, like that's more the thing. Like, but oh, I had so much fun. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Every time I hear that, I'm just like, so
yeah.
It didn't.
I didn't.
My least, my bottom 10 least favorite of the year, but it is in my bottom 20 least favorite of the year.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Valid. Our overall average for Legends Lattes was 3.55, which like feels. I know Mari doesn't count.
That feels correct. Yeah,
that feels correct.
But otherwise, I'm like, from how we're all talking about it, for the most part, minus Mari, it's kind of like, okay, that was a cat.
Yes.
Oh my god, you are a monster. Come here. Okay.
No hydration for you.
No, apparently not. The next book was The Sword of Kaigen, by ML Wong, which we only had 3 people there for. So
I did not read this one, and I never.
Connor, Jordan, and Mari were all missing. So this one is like probably a little skewed in its rating because we didn't have everybody. But so for those of us that were there, this is one that kind of I don't get angry about it, but it's sort of similar to Mari with Legends and Lattes, and people are like, "Oh my god, it was so great!" Or it was like one of my favorite books of the year I read it. I'm just like. I feel very similar to kind of how we felt about Jade City that year, where it was like I was so pumped, and then I read it and I was like, it's fine. Like I haven't completely forgotten about it, and I didn't like hate it, but I expected so much more out of it than what I got. So I haven't, even though the author has a few other books out now, or something coming out this year or something, and people are hyping it. And I'm like, should I try again? Or is this author just not for me? I don't know. But yeah, it still sits very like mid for me as far as disappointing.
Yeah, I think it's definitely memorable. Like, I remember what it's about. I remember the feelings I had when we were discussing it, but I don't think I would ever return to the author. Like, I think I've had my time. It wasn't for me. I wasn't sure if it was because it felt a little bit more fantasy than I normally read. I wasn't sure if it was that, but then at the same time, there were so many confusing elements to it. But yeah, I would not be surprised if this skews lower, because I remember we all kind of like were.
Yeah, we all like were very like mid on it. Yeah, I think Kayla gave it the lowest rating. Oh no, you gave it the lowest rating. Kayla and I were both around a 3. You gave it a 2. So yeah, it averaged out at 2.8.
Even though the like numbers are low, I will say I think I didn't make it because I was like sick or something. So I had started reading it, and I read, maybe I got like far into the book, like 50%. And honestly, it was like, I'm sick. And then I was like, yes, because I couldn't finish it. Let's say. So that one stayed as a DNF. And like, I can't remember specifically like what it was giving that like was not making me super excited to keep reading, but it was very easy to close that and never look back. Like, I'm not sure that I will ever get back to it. So my DNF factors into kind of how low that is.
Yeah.
This book, wasn't it? It started off as a self-published book, and then it got picked up, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's technically a companion to a larger series, and everyone will say,
and I think that's the problem.
You don't have to read it, but it's like there are world building elements that you do not understand. Or I guess the people who like, there's plenty of people who just read it as a standalone and still say they love it. But I'm like, did you just gloss over some of the things about the world that like you don't understand because it's part of this bigger universe? Like, I guess
probably they just
accepted
it and moved on.
Yeah, I remember being like, I don't know what time like this is supposed to take place in, because they were sword fighting, but then there was also modern like tech stuff, and like it was just all of these sort of like political machination-y stuff like didn't make sense to me a ton.
Yeah,
so,
I think the best part was the mother's perspective. Like, that still sits with me, but everything else I'm like,
right. Right, and it felt like 3 different books almost, right? I think we talked about that, where it was like, it felt very weirdly disjointed and stuff. So, yeah, bummer, because we were like very convinced that we were going to really like this. And then we didn't. Okay, yeah, so Collective 2.8. Then, The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent of our rogue picks.
It was kind of a road pick. This is really funny because I forgot that I picked that, because I would before the live show, I was giving Paige shit because one of her picks ended up on my bottom 10 of the year, but also this was my pick and it also ended up on my bottom 10 of the year.
Okay.
Sorry, Paige.
I had fun with this one.
I actually really enjoyed that live show. That was a fun time.
It's fun.
It was a fun live show.
And that's the only memory I have of it. Yeah,
it's one of the books that I had in a long time where I was like excited to keep reading it and like excited to pick it up again, which I haven't had very much of in the last couple of years. I remember listening to it at the gym. Like, that's how much I was into the book. Yeah. Having a good time.
Yeah. This one also sits just like, it was mid, but would I continue with the series? Yes, for like the same, I think, because she's an author that a lot of people talk about, so it's just kind of like, okay, what is this? And there was something about the very end of the plot, I forget, like something happens with the guy and it becomes like whatever. Twist where I was like, that's kind of interesting. But yes, was the world building like pretty lackluster? And I am so fucking sick of competition books. And so like this was a competition book, and I had been reading a ton of them at that point. So I was just gonna like I would pick up a book, not think it was a competition. This one did have a competition very blatantly in the synopsis, but a lot of them didn't. And I'd be like, why are we getting a competition again? So I think that made it
absolutely no sense. It was like, must enter.
No, there was
reasons, and there's absolutely no way you will survive against you, a human, against all these vampires. But go with it, and that was the entire book, and I hated it.
It was definitely, but I think we all were talking about how it made sense that like a lot of this has gotten popular on like Book Talk and some of those spaces because it is very much like the Sarah J. Maas formula. So. But
like the style of it, I was like, it was fun to read. It made absolutely no sense.
Yeah,
I had no emotional stakes in it, but I understand why people would get sucked in and read.
I get the girlies.
Like, it's perfect cash read. Yeah,
I will say now that time has gone on and I read other things this year. Not that everything needs to be compared to this book, but it is better than Fourth Wing. I will say that.
Oh, tea.
So-
Okay. I haven't read Fourth Wing, so I can't.
I ranked
So-
it like less bad than Fourth Wing as well in my
Not bad.
Yes, it's still bad, but it's like, so now that book I'm not as angry about because I read Fourth Wing after, and now I'm like, all of my ire goes kind of as Fourth Wing continues to disintegrate in my brain. Like, Fourth Wing gets all of the hate. Yeah, so that we rated that one a 2.5 average. Most of us were 2
I'm happy with
stars. Jordan really liked it. Jordan brought the rating up, but otherwise, like, yeah, we didn't love it.
Shocking to no one.
Right. Then we read Finley Donovan is Killing It, which was our like comedy thriller.
I also did not read that one and did not attempt it. So
I didn't like it.
I have read everything that is published in that series so far. So I really enjoyed it. Which is good because it was my pick.
Yeah, it was your pick. I'm glad you had a good
Yeah.
time. I think, who was all on that live?
I think I was on that one.
Yes, it was Jordan, Paige, Kayla, and I. So yeah, I talked about it there. Yeah. Now we have decided that if we are going to do thrillers or mysteries, it actually needs to be like fully that, because I was so like, what is this? Because we're joking, but they're dead bodies, and like, what is happening? So like that was like a little, yeah, it was a little bit too chaotic. Sure. And I appreciate, that's like one of the only, I think, thrillers I've read like recently. But yeah, the part where she duct tapes the kids' hair to their head and sends them to school, I'm like, this is actually too much for me. Jordan just giggles.
It gets more
but like,
chaotic in the second and third book, so probably best that we didn't read those.
Yeah. Yeah. I do like a messy woman, but I need her to be like realistically messy, and this did not.
Yeah, this is like unrealistically chaotic.
Yes.
But
yes.
that's why it's fun.
Yes. So overall for Finley was a 2.75. So we liked it more overall than Serpent on the Wings of Night. So
that
okay,
that makes sense.
Bumped it up a little bit. So then, man, we had a rough streak in like the middle of the year. Then came Vampire Academy, which feels like such a big part of my reading year. No. Vampire Academy and Fourth Wing are like the two things that I hated most about this year, truly. Yeah, I still hate it. I still think about lines in which I hate it. I hate that my book talk community convinced me to try to keep going because it gets better, and it does not. So I DNF'd the second book.
It does,
Girl,
but I don't think
not early enough for you. Not early enough for you.
Not for in the year 2024. Like it's not like when
Jordan.
it came out. Yes.
No, Jordan.
See, Tracy understands it. The live show was great. Thank you very much, and that is why I chose that book. Because
I would not recommend that book to anybody now because it's not good enough to be read now.
Okay,
back in
now,
2015,
Jordan,
it was
I don't have a time machine. My brain was underdeveloped enough to enjoy this. So
yes, we need those books when we're teenagers.
I don't know if I could have even.
I read this in my 20s.
Yeah, I don't know if there was ever a point when I would have really like dug this. I guess maybe when I was like fully a teen and in my not like other girls phase, which didn't last very long. But like, it's so bad. Anyway,
this was
I don't
part
know.
Of my they're like Mortal Instruments, Uglies phase.
Yeah.
Sure.
Ah.
This is good. Don't put Uglies in that category.
Compare this to the Uglies who had a dystopian world that it understood, where the Vampire Academy's world and plot is just like vampires, and that's kind of and then that's
it's nothing for the entirety of the book, and at the very end they do something that was part of whatever they introduced at the beginning, and that's it. Like it's okay. Anyway, we gave this a collective 1.4.
Yes.
Molly and I were solid ones on those. Yeah, it was.
Can I change my answer? I think we might have done slightly worse.
Yeah. This is
Connor, you gave it a 1.
I know.
It was 1. Paige was a 2. Connor was a 1. Jordan was a 2.
Yes, no,
But-
I don't like the first book. The first book is not good,
Uh-huh.
and neither is the second book.
I thought our reading here was a lot better than like
It was
this-
more fun.
It was more fun. We looked on it more fondly because we
Was
loved
it more fun?
I thought it was more
I
fun.
think so.
the people
I
are
don't
less-
know.
There was less giant fantasy this year.
That's true.
Okay, next book. Then we read Carrie Soto is back.
Loved.
We had a
not
rough
loved.
summer.
Yeah.
We had a rough summer. I mean, yeah,
Compared to
it
other
was
books that we
better,
just
it was
talked about.
better
loved.
than the last three.
Yes.
Ish.
I'm gonna draw the line at the racism in that one and say
Yeah.
it was not better.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah, that one that was a like fine audiobook and that like it washed over me, but again, too much tennis. I stand by that. I know that it was like a book about tennis, but once you got into it, too much tennis.
Yes.
Not enough romance to make up for the too much tennis.
Yep.
And the bad accents and like weird Spanglish thing they were doing, right? Is that what we
Yeah.
discovered was the thing, or they were using improper words? I forget what it was about the Spanish.
Everything about the representation in that book, Taylor Jenkins Reid needs to be stopped. She needs to let the Latina women go and just write white women.
Yeah.
And save it. But she won't because she keeps getting really, really.
Does she have another book coming out this year or anything? Taylor?
I don't think so. Because technically Carrie Soto was supposed to be the last of the quartet of like the decades.
Okay.
Even if there were another book, I think I'm done with these books.
That's so valid.
Carrie Soto. I think I'm done.
Yeah, I don't see. Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, I feel
if she
like
had
since
actually,
Evelyn Hugo,
Yeah.
I've liked each one a little bit less, I think.
Yeah.
Or like
mean,
I liked Malibu. Malibu and Daisy Jones still stay up there for me. Malibu.
I like Daisy
think
Jones and I
enjoyed
like
the
Evelyn
most
Hugo.
in terms of like quality, but
I went
Yeah, the
back
last
actually
two
this
weren't
year
great.
and I reread Evelyn Hugo because I had been so long. And I went back to maybe this is probably why I feel like this one has also soured in my feelings because I went back and the first time I read it, I really didn't pick up on how racist that one was. But the way that she portrays the biracial main character, awful. Like legitimately, there are lines in that book that I was like, she wrote that. And then like how it ends with the twist with a black man, awful. And everything about how she portrayed Evelyn Hugo, awful. And then so I was like so mad after I read that one that I think also in retrospect, whatever was good about Carrie Soto or like the better things they're not here anymore. Like all that like lives in my brain now is Taylor Jenkins Reid racism. So
Valid. Yeah, that one overall was a 2.75. So on par with Finley Donovan. So yeah. Then we had a slight reprieve with Happy Place.
So good.
LOL. We love Emily Henry.
So good.
We do love Emily Henry.
Yeah, thinking back on that book, it's still not like I still am more of a book lover's beach read girly, which I know is counter to Paige's theories about Emily Henry. But like, Happy Place still sits high. I kind of want to reread it, and like this is one of the only actual romances I read this year, and I'm kind of like, should I dip back into romance again? Because I almost like forgot about it because I just wasn't in a romance brain like at all this year, and so like it sort of washed away, and now I'm like, should I redabble? I moved away from romance because many of them were so bad for so long. But this made me go like, maybe there's been enough time that more good ones have accumulated and I can get back into it. But yeah, I still stand by like her romances are great. All of them I like, and besides People with Me on Vacation. And the friendship stuff there was still like solid, real good.
I think that was one of my favorite reads of last year for sure. Like it's up there in the top 5 of what I read. I just love her so much, and I'm so excited for Funny People. I think it's the next one. I can't remember.
Funny Story.
That one looks good too.
Yeah, that one looks really good. So I'm excited for that too.
Yes.
It'll probably be a book pick this year for us.
Yes,
Oh,
when it comes
maybe.
out.
Can we just read this one?
I think it was my number 4 out of my top 10 of the year. Like 4 or 5.
Nice.
Pretty high on my list. I really,
Yeah.
really loved it. I don't know if I love Beach Read more because I haven't read it in so long. That one, but like it's definitely top 2. And I think about it, and it's like one of those books where like I can still feel the feelings that I felt while reading it. And I still feel like about the main characters and like watching them fall in love. Like all of the pieces were really good. It left me with like a good emotional impression. Like, thank God we got Happy Place after that string of reads.
For real.
Do you know what's funny is that the book that I remember the most by her and that like sits the most vividly in my mind is People We Meet on Vacation, which is everybody's least favorite.
I haven't read that one.
That one sits
It's the most
like,
traditional
prominently.
rom-com. Yeah, it's like the most traditional,
Okay.
like.
It's not like, to me, it's not like a bad book, but it's a bad Emily Henry book.
Yes.
Like her other books are 5 stars, and
like
that one's
it.
a 3.
It's
Yeah,
my least
like
favorite, but I still like it, you know?
I still like it. Like,
might
if someone was
be-
like, "You have to reread it," I wouldn't be like, "No!" Like, I'd be like, "Okay."
I think it might be my favorite. I don't know. It's the one that lives the most like solidly in my brain.
You're such a dark horse. Like, we're glad you're here to provide variety.
I know the balance is unmatched.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Truly.
The one I think
Okay.
about the most. I don't know.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah. That one we gave a 4.33 average.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yay! And then we have Dragonfall, which is the first book that I have not read for book club. I just didn't. I don't know what happened. I think I couldn't get it for a while, and then I finally got it, and I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
So I wasn't there, which is like feels like a personal failure to me. But it seems like you guys had a mediocre time, so I'm kind of okay with not being there. But thoughts on Dragonfall?
This one maybe lives stronger in my feelings because I don't know that I would say we had a mediocre time. I feel like we enjoyed it, but that it was like not a perfect book. Like there were like flawed things about it. Like I look back on my time with that book and I'm like, yeah, like it was positive. And there are things about it that I feel like are very memorable. Like the use of the point of view and some of the characters, like I feel like live strongly in my memory. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I feel like it's when you rate a book 3 stars, sometimes you rate it 3 stars because you're like, oh, I really like that was good, but not perfect. And other times you're like, wow, I could not care less about that book. 3 stars.
Yes.
And this was the former.
Yes.
Like, oh, I had a good time, but it wasn't amazing.
We definitely had more to say about that one. Like that was one that we were able to have like a proper discussion about. I feel like, and because we had like actual thoughts about it, because they tried to do things with it. It just didn't always land.
Yes.
It's one of those classic ones where we were like rewriting the whole thing as we were going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that at the end of the live show because I came in because we were picking books or something. I forget what we were doing.
Yeah.
But I think you guys were reading it kind of like in response to Fourth Wing because people were saying like this is better than Fourth Wing, right?
Sure.
It's like a dragon book.
Sure.
So
Well, at least there was dragons and like there's a book
like
about
actual
dragons.
proper dragons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do think about this one fairly often.
I do too.
Like it pops in my brain and I'm like, oh, remember the dragons? That was a fun time.
Yeah. I think also because it ends pretty strongly. Oh, and like was it the romance like really good too? Like the pining and the angst or whatever.
There was a lot of pining.
This book too. Like there are things about it that like when I think about it, I'm like, yeah. And I would reread it. And I would like, I don't know. It's more on like Connor said on the positive side, like 3 for me than like the negative.
I think I read this one really fast too for book club. Like I read it like in like I don't know however long the audiobook was at 3 times speed. So I think that if I had more time to sit with it, I would reread it again and enjoy it more.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, it was a 3.3 average, so I just thought it was like mid. I think all of you gave it like it was 3s and 3.5s like across the board.
I will also say there's some mid books that like just do the bare minimum. Like A Serpent in the Wings of Night is like not it's just taking tropes and not doing much of anything, right? It's just hitting the like lowest bar. This book felt like something that was trying to do something and wasn't quite sticking it, but it was like ambitious in what it was doing. Like there was like effort there in a way that I like some 3-star books don't feel that way. Some 3 stars are just doing bare minimum. This was trying. And so I feel like that's why there's a lot of like, oh, like you almost like you did this and you could rewrite it this way, like while we were talking about it. So
it had a sequel, right?
I think yes.
I think so.
I think
I'd
be
be interested
trilogy.
to see like how much stronger it gets with its next installments.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. And then the last book we read was Hench.
Yay. I really like that one. I think maybe I liked it the most out of all of us.
I think so.
I would probably continue if she writes a second book, but it's just I think I said this in the live show and this wasn't that long ago. So yeah, it's like if it gets written soon enough that I remember stuff, I'll probably continue. But I sense that since we don't have like a release date for a second book, by the time it comes out, I'm going to be like, I have other things to do, like I will have, but there were like, I like the exploration of like what makes villains and like heroes being looked at as not quite heroes and things like that. It wasn't perfect, but there were things that I enjoyed. And I will say, like, I mentioned this in the live, but the audiobook was like good in some parts and bad in others because the romance that they have brewing between like the main villain and her does not make any sense when he sounds like an insect robot dude. Like it's not.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's not the vibe. So yeah, I think where it threw me off a little. Where maybe if I had read it, I wouldn't have given him that voice, and it would have been more romantic leaning. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really liked it. Made my top 20 of the year.
Really?
Yeah, it did. I had also like a mediocre reading year. Like I had a lot of 3s and 3.5 stars. I think I don't remember. Did I give this a 4?
You did. Yeah.
So this was like, so all of my 4s really floated to the top this year. But I really had a good time. I liked what it was doing, like the explorations, and a lot of these scenes live rent free in my head. Like especially the more brutal ones, like the showdown at the end. Like there are a lot of things that are like imprinted on my head. And as much as I did not like the main sort of like relationship that we all found out later was a thing because we all missed it. Meanwhile, I was over here shipping her with like everybody
else.
I had a grand old time imagining her dating everyone but that one dude. So I had a good time.
It kind of
overall positive.
Like if I was like putting it in buckets in my head, it kind of sits in the same bucket as like Vicious for like I don't know, its themes and stuff. But I like Hench so much better.
Yes.
And I know that Vicious is like super popular among people, but I like this a lot better.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Overall, that one was a 3.62. Which is a little random.
It did need shorter chapters though.
Yes.
Oh my god, the other chapters
were way too long.
Yes, that is universally accepted.
Yeah. So maybe you guys were paying attention to the numbers I gave you, maybe you weren't, but what do you think was our least favorite book and what was our most favorite book? Should be pretty obvious.
Vampire Academy was least.
Vampire Academy was the lowest, and then was
Nevermore. Yeah.
Nevermore was the highest over Happy Place?
It's 4.8, wasn't
Happy
it?
Place.
Was Happy Place higher?
4.08.
Happy Place was our strongest.
So the order from best to worst was Happy Place, Nevermore, Hench, Legends and Lattes, sorry Mari, Dragonfall, The Sword of Kaigen, Carrie Soto, Finley Donovan, Serpent and the Wings of Night, and then Vampire Academy.
And I think now that we went through this, that our yearly average is probably lower.
But I think it was more fun.
But yes, I will agree.
Sure. Okay, so before we get to like the yearly average thing, who do we think overall averaged out to the lowest ratings throughout the year?
Maddie.
I feel like I always have the lowest.
You guys always say me, and it's never me. I always me. Oh, maybe this year though. I did hate a lot of them.
Yeah, that's what I'd be like.
Normally we pick like very long, thoughtful books, and I always have the lowest rating. So maybe it's not me this year.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Paige or Mari.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's Mari.
I think maybe
so
Mari.
It's me. By a sliver. It's me by a sliver. I was 2.86. Mari was 2.87.
Oh, I was at the lowest.
Where it's like, I think you've been the lowest before, Sam, where everybody's like Maudie, and then you're like, it was me.
It was 0-1 of a difference.
Yeah. So we're really tied, but like, yeah, I have to go farther in the decimals to make sure. And then who was the highest ratings this year?
Jordan.
Ooh, I don't know. I don't think so.
It couldn't be me.
Kayla, maybe?
Kayla?
Me or Kayla?
All right. It's, again, sort of a two-way tie. Kayla at 3.5, Jordan at 3.55.
Oh, I had the highest.
Yeah,
That's why I had so much fun this year.
you did. I mean, you really like Serpent the Wings of Night. Like, yeah, you...
Jordan's like, but guys, we had so much fun.
I actually liked the books we picked this year.
Paige, you were a 3.1. Connor was a 3.33. Again, keeping in mind that like Kayla and Connor aren't joining us quite as often, so some things are getting skewed, but like I still count everything as if it's sort of equal or whatever. I'm counting the books that you did read, what your average was.
Yeah.
Okay, so that being said, as far as our overall average, Connor and Mari were correct in that we inched out last year by like 0.11. Yeah, so last year we had, and last year we were pissed about everything, and it was a 2.96. This year's average was a 3.1.
Okay.
So like we
moving in the
bumped
right
up
direction.
0.2.
In
Sure.
the right direction.
Hey, we changed a whole star. We went from 2 to 3.
Sure, but not because we didn't move by a whole star. We moved by decimals. In comparison, 2021, I don't have the stats for 2020. I haven't gone back and done that, but 2021, our average was 3.44.
Okay.
So like we dropped a whole half star rating for 2022, and then we've just been like,
But we jumped over the 3.
yeah.
Last year was really.
Nicole said last year was a 2 something, and this year is a 3 something.
You know, yes. I was really hoping for us to like bump back up to kind of. We had a really good time. It seems like in 2021. I don't know what it was about 2021. Maybe we just had a few more really good ones.
This is the way that I think about my content too, and just like my own reading. I'm kind of with Paige in terms of like every once in a while, bad book is fun for like the content reasons. But in general, I like my reading to be like a bell curve where you have the standout 4s, you have the couple like terrible ones, and then like you're sitting in that 3.5 star area. Like that's where I want us to get. I feel like we're like this past year, there weren't enough of like the highs to balance. Yeah, like I would like us to have like 1 or 2 more 4 or 5 star reads.
Yes.
And then I will be happy.
Yes.
So
yeah,
I'm getting a little closer, but
I want to get back to that 2021 because we had enough, I think. So I will say all of this before we start picking books. You guys can't keep picking rogue titles.
I chose 1 book last year.
One.
But we did. Like there's a few rogues in here.
Choices, and I would choose good ones. But
oh my god!
I'm so disconnected. I don't even know what's like coming out.
Yeah, I have no idea what's even popular or what's like.
I mean, the people want rogue titles. I don't.
Yeah.
Like
I'm just giving you what the people want. I know what they want.
I mean, is there veto power?
Well, I don't think so. Unless it's like this.
I just need to start being like, I'm not reading it. Bye. Like, and then I'll have a better year.
That is on Mari's channel.
Literally. But then I'll feel FOMO, and but I'm just, oh man, okay.
Okay. Are you ready?
No.
I guess.
But
I don't know.
I don't think I'm gonna get chosen, so I'm just gonna sit through this nicely.
It's chaos reigns.
Salt.
Yes, I get that's our brand. But I just want to have fun.
All right. Here we go.
All right, let's see. Don't pick Paige.
Our first
Pick me for all 3.
the year is
Don't pick Jordan.
boom, boom, boom. guys are never gonna believe this. It's Marinés.
Oh,
I am gonna give us not a rogue pick.
my
A
God.
little bit. I think it might be a little bit of a big brain book, and I apologize, but I really want to read it. It's The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon.
Yeah, it is going to be big brain.
I started listening to it. I haven't
Right,
made
I need
it like
to
very
type
far.
this
And
out or
I'm really
something.
enjoying it. So I hope you guys will too. So that's me for January.
Yay.
Am I gonna say that this book is too smart for me?
I hope not. It sounds like it's really good. It's won a lot of awards. It is an epic fantasy. I have
Doesn't
heard
help me.
people describe it and being like, I can't describe it. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's
Okay.
I will say for us audiobook listeners, this does like a lot of like switching of perspective. And so if there's any way for you to get your eyeballs on it, I think that would be helpful.
Oh, that's the only way I listen to audiobooks.
Yeah.
Eyes
so-
and ears.
yeah.
full
yeah.
immersion.
You got to be looking at what's happening because he also does like formatting things. So I was just
Okay.
trying to listen to it and I was like, huh? So keep that in mind. Okay. Number 2 goes to
R.I.P. me.
Samantha.
Wow.
Okay, I want to do To Shape a Dragon's Breath.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
that's been on
Oh,
my
God.
Blackgoose. It's on my holds
Don't
already, so
worry.
hopefully I will get it in time.
Yeah. Shape a dragon.
And that's a
I had
dragon book,
copy in
Jordan.
Canada.
Dragon!
Dragons.
Yay! It'll be fun.
Okay.
Jordan's like, I hate this.
I'm putting us once I pick us, I'm putting us back in the pot, right? That's
Yeah, because
Yeah.
technically we could get 3 picks.
yes. Number 3 goes to
Libraries didn't have this book. Cool.
Paige with the rogue pig.
We're gonna have 2 good books and then Paige's book.
Paige.
I'm excited. What is Paige gonna pick?
Oh no, I don't know which one to pick
The
now.
people's
This is so
champion.
hard. Okay, do we want the one that's near and dear to my heart, or do we want the one that is absolutely tragic? I had to search if the author was problematic.
Look at they're cheering for you, Paige.
The people! Paige, what do you most want to read?
Crave by Tracy Wolff.
Jesus Christ.
What is that? What is that?
I'm dreading March already.
Paige. I was not expecting this.
Mari, do you want veto power now? Oh my god.
Bad.
What is this?
It's like a Twilight novel.
Oh no.
Paige, no.
For reference, the other one was going to be The Princess Diaries by Meg Cabot. So
But the Princess Diaries would have been better.
I know.
Oh wait,
I was
hold
like,
on,
which
hold
one
on,
do you
hold on. The reactions of, I mean, Paige, this is why you do it.
This is why I do it, because I want to bring the entertainment to the people.
Oh, God. Not queen.
I'm looking it up right now.
Oh my god.
I'm literally crying.
We were
That was
starting so
chaos, Paige.
strong.
That was chaos.
We were starting so strong. We were like, oh, look at all these, like, great. And then it's like, Paige, who are you?
Yes. I had the thought tonight randomly. I was like sitting on my couch, like, oh, what should I make my picks? And I was like, what's that knockoff vampire book that came out? And I had to search it.
You guys are not prepared for the level of bad this is. You
No,
are
I've never read it.
I haven't read it either.
no.
Oh,
You will open the
Christ.
first few pages and be like, oh, like you're not.
Have you read it, Mari?
Where I tried to. I read the first chapter and put down the book to Google, is this a parody? Because I wasn't sure.
So I should get the audiobook, is what you're saying, and just let it wash
Yes.
over me at like 4
Yeah.
speed. Okay, I love that.
But get it in an app that lets you go over 3 speed if you can. Is what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
I just placed
Okay.
my hold. I'm second in line.
I have it.
Second in line is killing me. Who's reading that right now?
I don't know. Someone in my town. Oh boy.
I have to buy Sam's pick because my library doesn't even have it.
Oh no, that
Oh,
sucks.
no.
My library has it.
Somebody said,
Let me
"Why
see if
you
they have the physical.
fine,
book.
No, that's not gonna happen. I was
know,
hating on this book when I was 14. Like when my friend was reading this, I was hating on it.
I like
already
your
know I'm not gonna
optimism,
like
Bryce.
it,
Yeah, this is
But-
not going to happen.
but we need to.
Oh my
I think a good question for us to answer is if this book is a joke. Because
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
still unsure if it is.
What if we read it as if it is a parody, and maybe that will be more enjoyable
Sure.
for us?
Uh-huh.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy I got selected.
This for this? Oh my god. My whole world changed when I stepped inside the academy. Nothing is right about this place or the other students in it. Here, I'm a mere mortal among gods or monsters. Then there's Jackson Vega.
Gonna be the only one
Spelled
that has a good time.
Jaxon.
AXO.
A vampire with deadly secrets who hasn't felt anything for 100 years, but there's something about him that calls to me. Something broken in him that somehow fits with what's broken in me. I'm gonna die.
I think it's telling about my library system that neither of the two first books are in my library, but Crave
Yep,
is.
my library does not have that book.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks.
Mhm.
Hopefully, I like it.
Anybody has Spotify Premium?
Yeah.
Your Cuts Through Water is available as an audiobook on Spotify.
Oh,
and now you
nice,
get like
nice.
the free
The 15
hours.
hours, 15 hours a month. Yeah.
Yep.
I'll do that.
Man,
March is on the horizon, like the apocalypse. Like, it's,
how
the glaciers are melting, and it's happening in March. Like I was so hopeful. Okay, well,
big is the Spear Cuts Through Water?
she's like a normal fantasy book.
Yeah.
Like not a chunk. Yeah, it's like 513.
Apparently 17 hours on
So,
audio. Yeah.
It's like the way that it's like formatted is like there's like breaks and stuff, so it's like not all full pages. You know what I mean? Also, like look at these end pages. Oh my god, she's so pretty. Yeah.
Does it not have the hardcover of it? Okay.
I will be buying that and reading that in Barbados next week.
Oh, excuse
Nice.
us.
I know.
Hey, you're getting closer to it. You're coming back across the pond.
10-hour flight. Can't wait.
Mm.
I'll read it on the plane. There we go. Perfect.
Amazing.
All right. Well, it's going to be a great year.
Awesome. Yeah, so join us end of this month, beginning of next month for our live show for Spear Cuts Through Water.
We'll try to be better about announcing these things, but listen, we're coordinating so many schedules and time zones that it gets a little challenging, but do our very best to let you know as soon as we can when that live show will happen.
Yeah. Usually we're deciding like a day or two before it happens, guys. So like we're not keeping you in the dark. It's just like literally we have things and something happens.
We are chaos planners.
Yes. So yeah, we try to shoot for a time and then that changes and sorry. All right.
See you then.
Bye guys.
Bye.